Hey Mark, how are you? We are just getting this dog rolling, and we're going to see if we can get a few more people on here, and then we'll get started in earnest. And how's the volume? Can you hear me okay? Ah, there's my treasure. Let's see, how's the sound? Everybody can hear okay? Hey, Silver Patriot, how are you? Hopefully everybody's week has started okay. We've had another nor'easter. Thankfully, this one for us has fizzled out. Over the weekend, we had another one. Hey, M.A. Lyman. You know, sometimes I actually will look at that and I go, Mally Man. But no, it's M.A. Lyman. And M.A. Lyman, for later, I'm going to add you as a moderator so you can post a link. Okay? Hey, who's your Billy? Hillbilly, how are you? Anyway, gang, hopefully everybody's week has started all right. And thank goodness for daylight savings time. It's actually still daylight now. And I tell you what, now it's more metal detecting after work. I am stoked. In fact, Sunday, we were out until we couldn't see no more. And it was probably going on about 7, quarter after 7, 7:30, somewhere around there. Hi, Brandy, how are you? And like I say, I am stoked that we have the longer daylight, especially for after work hunts. But anyway, gang, just give you a quick heads up before we start. That there, viewer giveaway a little bit later on towards the end of the streamcast, live stream, wherever you want to call it. And not only we have that, but we also have this. That's a Garrett patch. So next time you get your trousers snagged on brambles or on briars, use that to cover it up. Anyway, but that'll be a little bit later on in the streamcast. And there's somebody we know. Hi, Rebecca Priest. How are you? And it's M.A. Lyman, not Mally Man. See, I still do it inside my head. But anyway, M.A. Lyman, how did you make out with the nor'easter? Did you get anything, or no? Did it fizzle out for you too? But anyway, oh wow, you guys got it then. We were fortunate enough to escape again. The last one actually put us in the dark for a little bit. But hey, Lenny, no, it's Lenny, no. I am going to guess that K is silent. Unless you want to be Kano. But I get that. Well, you know what? It would make me Reiser if we pronounced all the letters of my name. So I'll stick with Reiser and we'll call you No. How's that? But anyway, gang. All right. Well, it's 6:56. We're going to try and drag this on a little bit for 4 minutes before we get started. And a 14. Oh my goodness. Hopefully, M.A. Lyman, it will melt and melt soon. And yeah, it is no. Yeah, okay. Better days are coming. 52, I'd take 52. Oh yeah, Sunday it was still cold, but we were out and more recon than anything this past Sunday. But did find a little bit of stuff. We actually stumbled onto a small site that had been hit, apparently, by everybody and their mother because there wasn't anything there. I mean, it was slow gritting out, and did manage to pull a button or two, but nothing too exciting. But like I say, I am just so thankful that we got more daylight in the evening hours now. But Silver Patriot, you're in the 50s as well. I'll take it. Days of getting bundled up, thermaled up, and getting so many layers of clothing where it's hard to move, that is just it's a drag, you know? It's a drag. It makes it good for going through briars and stuff, but other than that, it's a drag being that kind of bundled up. But anyway, gang, and for you, those of you who are tuning in, yes, that will be the viewer giveaway a little bit later on, plus the patch. Or it could be an eye patch if you're a pirate. But anyway, and by the way, the treasure story for a little bit later on has nothing to do with pirates whatsoever. I know it's strange, but yes, no pirates for the treasure story. But it's a great one. I like it. And anyway, so anyway, gang, let's get this sucker going. All right. Well, ongoing events. Almost finally done the animal cracker video. Oh my goodness. You want to talk about an Achilles heel. That darn video is stopping so many different other projects I'm trying to get to. It's just, I cannot wait to get it off the plate. But because there's other minutia minutes I want to get to that are just kind of sitting behind it, and I don't want to start them without finishing this one. But there's more coming. Basically, I think I want to make the Franklins, the Ben Franklin and his son William Franklin, into a minutia minute, and then I think there was a couple other things coming down the line. But this weekend is actually going to be a surprise. There's actually not going to be any metal detecting. Well, there's probably going to be a little bit, but hardly any metal detecting in an upcoming video. It's going to be a sifting video. And sifting sometimes lets us grab the stuff too deep that our detectors won't get. And if you're ever fortunate enough to try digging and sifting, it's a whole new realm, because you get to find things that, again, your detector just won't reach down and grab. Like that. How about if I put it the right way up for you guys? Now, that was found on the last metal detecting sifting foray. We obviously metal detected the area before we started sifting. And that large scent was so far down that neither... I use the Garrett AT Pro, and Buddy uses a 3030. Neither machine would pick that up. However, when we squared out an area to try and dig and sift, we managed to pop that out of the ground. So, sometimes, you know, besides that, I like to see the ceramics. I like to see all the other stuff that's coming out that your detector normally wouldn't find. Pieces of pipe, glassware, you name it. I mean, there's just so much stuff to find. Why? But anyway, gang. Hey, Rob, how are you? Yeah, nails. Oh my goodness. But anyway, gang. More on that later, and we're just going to set this here for now. That was a dig and sip thing. How I would love to have the rest of that. But anyway, gang, as far as mudlarking until it warms up and the tide cooperates, basically with the nor'easters coming in, we've had some actually good tides, but at the same time, going out there in the frigid cold isn't quite working. That I actually need a new pair of boots specifically for mudlarking, specifically ones that don't get sucked off as you walk through the mud. But that's stuff that's coming up. But anyway, gang, hey, if anybody hasn't gotten in on the 1792 Spanish 8 Real Mexico City Mint Silver, that's right. If you haven't gotten in on that giveaway, do so. You've got until 3/30/18 to do so. So might want to check that out. Beautiful, beautiful coin. Hey, Copperhead Metal Detecting. But anyway, gang, I have got a question for the chat. Now, I've already know my answer because I get asked it a lot, especially people I work with and other people who happen to come along. They'll say, if you've won $5 million, would you still coin collect or go metal detecting? And so I'm going to leave that question to you guys. If you guys won $5 million, would you still metal detect? And you ready? Here's my answer. Absolutely. It would just afford me the time to go to different places, to go every day, and it's one of those things that's ingrained into kind of people of the hobby, because once you get hooked, you're hooked. I see that. Who's your Billy? Hey, South Jersey Digger. And you know what? Could you imagine after you've won the lottery, whatever the case may be for the $5 million, reaching over to the nightstand and seeing whatever it was or you were researching or looking at, and just go, we're going there today. We're going down to the Bahamas and go take a look at a wreck. Or, we're going out west and looking at some of the older mining camps or something, Oh, it just would afford me to, it would further the addiction. That's what it would do. And I see a lot of you guys are in the same set of mind. All over the world I'd go. Yeah, Copperhead, you kind of actually blew my mind with that, as far as like the Bahamas and whatnot. Boy, some of the other stuff, I've been watching lately some guys from Australia, and it just kind of blows my mind. It's the same disease, it's just in a different country. But they talk more about finding nuggets and that kind of stuff. But the only problem is they do a live stream, and their live stream where they're on the opposite side of the world. Their live stream comes on, I think, right around like 2 or 3 in the morning. But every now and again, I'll catch like one of their I won't call it a repeat, but you can where you can click on it after they finished it. But anyway, gang, currently reading about the early colonization of Pennsylvania. I'm really into the Dutch and Swedes right now. And basically that time period of the Dutch and Swedes until they get overrun by Stuyvesant, the whole Duke of York thing. And it's a remarkable period of history. For about 100 years there, from like 1650 to 1750. It's almost like the East's version of the Wild West. And, we got Indians, we got the sheriffs, we got all kinds of great stuff going on. And one thing I've been really looking at is Tinicum Island. And it's in the middle of the Delaware River. And for whatever reason, they were kind of holed up there with a fort. Now, if it was ever a place for a fort that you were making for your actual, I don't know what you can call it, headquarters, I guess, I don't think I'd stick myself on the island with no escape route. But it's quite interesting. Between the Dutch and the Swedes, they went back and forth, and they weren't really about bloodshed. Basically, the Swedes overtook the Dutch overtook the Swedes. Basically, what happened was they come along in a boat. How many people you got in the fort? Oh, you got 30. We have 50. We take over. Okay, great. Nothing, no blood. And it would go back and forth like that for a good minute. good number of years until Stuyvesant came along and decided to run people through with sabers and whatnot. But anyway, speaking of the Dutch, we got this piece here. How I wish I knew what the rest of this said. But apparently it was some sort of animal at the top, maybe a dog or whatnot. But yeah, I wish I knew what the rest of that said. But anyway, gang, we got some artifacts to look at. And we got this thing. Now, this has been hit by the plow. And unfortunately, this might be a little too big for it. Actually has a handle or a long piece on the back of it. See if I can get it in there. Unfortunately, it's been bent. So it's kind of got a unique heart shape to it. Now, I've been researching it, and I just cannot find what that is. But if you guys have any ideas, yeah, do give a shout out. And because yeah, it's been really bothering me. But we'll find it. Hey, Rivendell, how are you? So anyway, gang, we got some other stuff. This was a sifting find here. Fortunately, it's probably a little bit too big for the coin can, but it's rather an old buckle, and it's so nice when you can get a whole one out of the ground, not just bits or anything like that. And this here was actually from the same site as that large set that we were sifting some time ago. See if you guys can make that up. Has a French flower. Oh, thanks, Rivendell. That will give me a starting point. Rivendell, is that the same design that's like on the Boy Scout stuff? Is that same kind of design? Flying Eagle it is. And I was actually quite excited when that came out of the ground. For me, that's as clean as it's ever going to be. I don't dare clean anything or over clean. But hey, Digging 606, how are you? Glad you all can make it. And now I don't know about you guys. I do like the water hunt, but sometimes the water, as far as like the bay, is never ever too nice to coins. Here's a wonderful example. You can't even make it out. I don't know if you guys can make it out or not, but that's a mercury dime. And right now, why I think dimes are a little like $1.10 for silver right now, and yeah, I don't think they would give me anything for this little sliver of a thing. But sometimes the bay is just not kind to coins at all. But I wondered if it's a Catholic Sacred Heart type of a pendant. Just a guess. Hey, Rivendell, you know what? I appreciate that, because you know what? Once I run out of starting points to do research, I get stuck. Anybody does, you know. And there's a wonderful, wonderful book, by the way. I probably promoted this book one other time. I'm not selling it, so that thing. See if you guys can see it. It's backwards. It's a guide to artifacts of colonial America. And I use this a lot when I get stuck on stuff or want to try and date something to see what other time period stuff might come out of a particular site. And it's basically categorized in coin section, and you know, it's got everything in here. And this isn't the know-all book. This here is a reference point. It gives you a starting point to lead you to somewhere else. Wonderful book to have. But anyway, gang, that book is on my Amazon. You know what? It's a wonderful, wonderful book. There's times where I've come home and spread stuff out on the table and just kind of lost for where to even look. You know that, and I do believe there's a pipe dating chart in it, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful tool to have. But anyway, gang, hey, North Jersey Detector, how are you? And for you guys coming in, here is the viewer giveaway for a little bit later on. It's that and a patch. But and this 1929 nickel's not really bad at all. It's dirty. That's the only issue with it. Well, there is one other issue. On the other side, we're upside down. On the other side, the right beneath the buffalo's eye on the rim, there's a nick, and unfortunately, it's just that's really the only thing really bad about it. I mean, besides being dirty. But Lenny, no, it is a guide to artifacts of colonial America. There you go. It's backwards, but the author is Ivor No Hume. Oh well, Ivor. Unfortunately, everything shows backwards in this. So if you guys can read it backwards. Three-quarter or full horn. There you go. I'll let you see it for yourself. Actually, I can probably leave that up there now, because I think we're pretty much almost done with the coin cam. There you go. But anyway, gang, moving right along. Also, too, buttons. When digging and sifting, buttons. I'm really getting into buttons probably far more than I ever should. But I'm becoming rather a button-holic. Digging and sifting them, they come out so nice, especially for our area, because our soil is just not pleasant on anything. It's not pleasant on coins. We just have a very high acidic soil, which basically it just doesn't treat coins very well. But the deeper they are, the better they are, and it's just they just come out so much nicer. That and the shanks are nearly almost always there when you dig and sift them, unless a site's been pushed or whatnot, or dozed at some point. But anyway, oh, you know what? I think I've got one of my favorite buttons here. If you guys want to see, and I know what you guys are thinking. I have an odd sense of what I like and kind of don't like when I dig stuff out of the ground. I know you guys are probably going to say, "Oh, your George Washington inaugural button is probably your favorite." And no, it's not. Uh, I'd rather find stuff from the common everyday man. You know, the people that history often overlooks or doesn't really record. You know, and I just like the normal everyday stuff. You know, and see if this will come up. That there is probably one of my favorite buttons, and the shank is still attached. And yeah, that there is treasure to me. Has a very unique design on. I think it's fancy enough to be particular. You know, what is the oldest coin you dug? I believe it's a 1723 halfpence. George the First, I believe, and it's not my favorite coin, but it's probably the oldest coin I've ever dug. But anyway, gang, I've been ignoring the chat. Oh, can't do that. But anyway, gang, hey, Adventures in Dirt, how are you? Thanks, who's your bill? Yeah, I tell you what, it's probably one of my favorite buttons. Oh, you know what? Speaking of buttons, oh, here we go. You're getting started on buttons. I can't leave it go. But I was wondering if you guys have ever come across buttons like these. And at first, when I first was really taking a keen interest in buttons, I used to think these were hit by the plow, and it's actually not the case. I've come across them too many times. These are actually clipped buttons. They are deliberately notched. And I was talking to a fellow not too long ago who says there was actually a couple of different reasons why they would have notched buttons. One was to make a bigger button fit into a smaller hole. And another reason was when they had like a leather strap on going across, that they would line their buttons up with that strap to actually hold that strap at a particular point, like on their chest or whatnot. I don't know. But eventually I'll be digging and digging and digging to actually find some sort of reference to prove that. But I just think it's very unique. I had never even thought about clipping buttons or anything like that until I started actually pulling several of these that have actual. Because basically, the one side you would think, yeah, that's just damage. Get that back on there. You would think that would be just damage. Get my little pointer. Like there. But if you look on the other side, like there, that's actually purposely notched. That's not damage. And I have multiples of these example. And like I said, it got me kind of digging and talking to people and say, have you ever found these? And some people say, yeah, but they don't know why. And then I actually came across one fellow who said, yeah, it was actually used to hold straps and whatnot. And I believe there was a guy who was into Revolutionary War stuff who said that some of their the actual buttons had, because they were holding different types of straps and that kind of, it's all kinds of different types of minutia. But anyway, gang, let's move right along. And you got me on buttons. I can't help it. So here's another one. This was actually found this past weekend before maybe, and didn't really make a video. Wow, we are bright on that sucker. Let's see if we can block out a little bit of the light. And it just has a nice little floral design to it. But anyway, gang. M.A. Lyman, I work at Mohican Resort and Casino. Oh boy, working now, watching a live stream in your work. Oh my god! But you know, I was thinking about casinos uh, last week. I was watching half dollar make you holler people and coin roll hunting. I tell you what, you know, back when casinos used real halves, boy, that had to have been something as far as coin roll hunting then. But I guess that's all in the past now. Now it's all the little printed paper things. But anyway, gang. Well, I guess you guys would like to know about tonight's treasure story. Well, it involves a treasure, probably worth somewhere between 60 to 70 million dollars. Yeah, I would push it up to that 70 million mark pretty easy if the content stayed secure. That's right, 70 million dollars. And again, like I said earlier, if you guys were here earlier, why this treasure story has nothing to do with pirates whatsoever. However, it has to do with a gangster. That's right, a 1920s, 30s gangster. And when someone asks to help them find something with a metal detector, I always tell them, you know, the sooner it's lost, the better chance we have to find it. Because, you know, I've had people say, hey, I've lost a ring in a parking lot. Oh, great. Well, let's try and get out there and we'll see if we can't find it or whatever. And then they'll say, well, it was probably 3 months ago. Yeah, it doesn't go too well. Oh, no. That's because they got those little street sweeper things. Car tires will pick them up. They'll get stuck in the treads. And it just 3 months, there's just no. So when we talk about treasure, it's almost the same kind of thing, except spread out a little bit further, you know. So we talk about treasure that a gangster might have hidden. There's actually a better shot at that than there would be after pirates. But anyway, gang. So also too, this story is compelling that it's fairly recent in the grand scheme of things. It's less than 100 years old. And gangsters, the golden era of gangsters, you know, of course, was spurred on by the Volstead Act. You guys probably know it better by the Prohibition, and which kind of dealt with limiting the sale of alcohol. If you had a doctor's note, you could still buy alcohol, you know. But and there was a lot of doctors in the kind of the take, we'll say, and they would give you a prescription for alcohol, and it kind of sounds like stuff that's going on today, don't it? But anyway, gang. So Prohibition spurs on crime, organized crime, and one of those notorious gangsters was Arthur Flugenheimer. That's right, Arthur Flugenheimer, which we better know him as Dutch Schultz. Are these Atlantic Nucky Toms? No. Are these Atlantic City area gangsters? New York area. I'm sure he had dealings with the Atlantic City gangsters because basically you were selling a whole lot more booze at a higher premium to resort areas. But anyway, back to Dutch Schultz. Now, Dutch, like other racketeers, wasn't only doing booze, he was into other illegal stuff. He was into numbers running, protection, bawdy houses. We'll use that term, bawdy houses, to kind of go over the heads of the youngsters who may be watching. And he was good at what he did. I mean, Dutch Schultz, oh my goodness, he was bringing in the cash. He wasn't a very nice guy. He was actually quite known for torture via his henchmen. There was one recorded incident where He hooked the guy up by his thumbs behind his back and covered his eyes with a gonorrhea discharge. Yeah, that's he just no Boy Scout whatsoever. Anyway, during this time period, it had become a trend, first with Al Capone, about the government going after these gangsters with tax evasion. If you can't get them for murder, if you can't get them for robbery, if you can't get them for anything else, go after them for tax evasion. And since it worked with Capone, they thought they'd try it with Schultz. And so basically, Schultz knew the heat was on. You know, he felt the pressure. He was going to court, and he faced going to jail for a very long time. And he knew in his racket there were no friends. So basically, at the high point of his operation, by the way, he was making more than $20 million a year. And we're talking back in the early 1930s. There was a depression going on. And this cat, he was making $20 million a year. But anyway, in 1933, he became public enemy number one. And hey, with all this stuff going on, being public enemy number one, he was going to go to trial for tax evasion. He decided to bury a nest egg. And this nest egg happened to consist of a strongbox, and inside the strongbox supposedly were gold coins, Liberty bonds, cash, and gems. Now, something that's unique about this treasure story is supposedly none of the Liberty bonds have ever been cashed. And I tell you what, if there's anything that spurs the curiosity of that treasure still being there, have never been found, it's those Liberty bonds. Even if the paper was damaged, they could be replaced if there was some identifying mark on them. But again, those Liberty bonds have never ever been cashed. Anyway, Duke and one of his henchmen, Lulu Rosencrantz, drove from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Ah, another Connecticut guy, M.A. Lyman. Ah, right there. Anyway, drove from Bridgeport, Connecticut, which was then Schultz's headquarters, and they drove to Phoenicia, New York, if you guys happen to know that. It's up in the Catskills. And he buried this loot somewhere near the Esopus Creek. And basically, gangsters being what they are, not very nice guys or whatever, Lulu, good old Lulu, he made a supposed map and gave it to Marty Crompier. And nobody could keep their mouth shut. Actually, you know, this is, again, typical of gangsters, hoodlums, and everything else. They all can't keep their mouth shut. But anyway, both trials for tax evasion, Dutch actually got away with it. And some say it was probably with quite a bit of jury tampering. But anyway, he got acquitted. And with the heat still on, why Schultz relocated his headquarters to Newark, New Jersey, specifically the Palace Chop House. And poor old Dutch, he was gunned down on October the 23rd, 1935, along with Lulu. And they actually died hours apart. They survived the initial shooting and then later died in the hospital. But anyway, back to Dutch. Dutch lingered, and in his delirium, he had some crazy stuff going on. They actually had a court stenographer there taking down everything that Dutch was saying. And of course, he alludes to this treasure being buried in Phoenicia. And but anyway, this is all stuff for you guys to research. Because let me tell you what, of all the stuff I've read about it, you know, people have claimed that they have found it and everything like that. Well, A, if you found it, why would you say anything about it? And B, with the Liberty bonds still not have ever been cashed, it just kind of gives me an idea that there just may be a chance or an opportunity or some sort of likelihood that it just may be there. And something else that's kind of peculiar. Gangsters, they, speaking of Marty Krompier, strangely enough, it's not by coincidence, the same night that Dutch was shot and Lulu was shot, Marty Krompier was shot the same night. So even if it was a mob type hit, why'd they go after Marty too? Because basically, Marty got shot in a barber shop, and the shooters took the map, the supposed map that Lulu had drawn. And even Krompier did survive the shooting and actually assisted in some of the searches for the loot in the 1960s. And without the map, Marty was no help. And so, yeah, could it be out there? Is it still out there? It never hurts to look. And you know what? For a starting point, it's the research. On the net, even though the net isn't the most reliable source that there ever is, you can actually see what this court stenographer wrote down during Schultz's delirium. And it actually makes some interesting reading. But again, he was delirious, so there's no really, you got to read very carefully in between the lines. And as other things too, in the 1960s, when this was all on the rage, we did not have historical aerials, and unfortunately, a lot of the eyewitnesses have probably passed on by now. So just going to have to be really diligent in research. Will this be your next metal detecting expedition? You know, Reverend Delcourt, I have always wanted to give it a shot. There's certain details about it that intrigue me, and certain things that certain people don't really look at. One thing that strikes my mind is this trip from Bridgeport, Connecticut to Phoenicia, New York. We do it at 65 miles an hour, if not better. In Dutch's old car, why, he's probably doing only between 25 to 40 tops. Because actually the roads weren't all that great. And actually, he also didn't have the thruway at the time. So, how long would that trip have taken? How many stops would they have had to have made before he got to Phoenicia, New York? All this stuff kind of runs through my head. And after driving all night, after bearing this supposed loot, I find it unlikely they drove directly back. So there had to have been some sort of eyewitness account from somewhere, from a gas station guy, from maybe an innkeeper, or... And then, where do you limit their trip to? I mean, the record says Phoenicia. Schultz even mentions Phoenicia a couple times in this delirious state. Why, you know, it's just too remarkable. And there's so much other stuff to think about that kind of has gotten overlooked. And if they're doing this in the middle of the night, even if they were supposed to go back the same night, they would have to refuel. And times were different, you know. They didn't have a 24-hour gas station. They had to wait till morning if they needed to refuel. Unless they basically knocked on a gas station's door at gunpoint and said, fill us up. But again, with Schultz not being such a nice guy, it could have happened that way as well. But sounds like an awesome YouTube. Well, you know what? Like I said, I've always wanted to give it a shot. You know what? Half the fun of this hobby is actually just going to look, you know. Some people who I talk to about metal detecting and get frustrated with it, I'll ask them, how often do they go? And they say, well, hardly ever. I says, well, then you're not going to have any fun, because the majority of the fun comes from looking, you know. And unfortunately, if you get a bookworm like me, you know, half of my fun comes from research, and getting out is just, you know, icing on the cake. But anyway, gang. But there's so much other stuff too that drives me nuts with it. there was one account that says it was a watertight, strong box, and I don't know if they had that kind of technology in the 1930s. And yeah, and it's just all kinds of different stuff to get. And also too, something else that kind of strikes me funny about the whole story is the Esopus, like any of the other mountain type creeks and rivers and whatnot, they flood often. And would the land area change? Would the Esopus Creek change course? And all this other stuff that runs through my head. And thankfully, with historic aerials, we can actually, I don't know for the area, I never looked for that area. The historic aerials in my area goes back to 1931, which would be before the supposed burial of that loop. But boy, can you folks just imagine, and who knows, maybe that loop could have been washed down the Esopus by now. But again, like I say, it is just half of it's just going to look for it. Who knows? And it's the same thing like I say about going to look for colonial stuff. I don't get disappointed when I find a wheat cent or a mercury dime. I still pick them up as well. So whatever you could find along the way besides Schultz's loop, hey, it's all welcomed stuff. But anyway, gang. I go metal detecting 4 days a week. How about everyone else? M.A. Lyman, you're just one of those guys. My buddy who I go with often is retired. He drives me nuts. Every now, if he knows I'm working, just to be how he is, he will actually send me a text and tell me, hey, I'm out metal detecting. Oh, my goodness. That is okay. I'll have my time soon enough. But he also likes to send me pictures of stuff he's finding while I'm working, just to rub it in. But all right, gang. You know what? So something. In a minute, I promise to stop droning about this Dutch Schultz thing. But just as if when you're looking for a colonial site and you're listening for the iron in the ground to find the better stuff or to try and locate where the dwelling was, I was often thinking too of what if Schultz might have left behind. Instead of going to an inn or something like that or whatever, what if they camped there? And if they camped there, what would be some of the stuff from 1935 that they would have left behind? Like old tins or whatnot. Old tins or you name it. That type of stuff. That might even help locate a specific spot. But the problem is, along the Esopus, and there in the Catskills, it's a resort area. People go camping. People around, down the Esopus, people go tubing and rafting and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of modern stuff mixed in with it. But anyway, gang. Digging 606. Google Andrew Jackson Mullins. He was my third great grandfather. He died in prison for counterfeiting silver coins in the 1800s. Wow, that is some kind of cool. I will have to check that out. I was just recently reading about an early counterfeiting case. The guy's name was Charles Pennington in Philadelphia during William Penn's time. And he and another fellow were counterfeiting coins, and as the Quakers were very passive, and also, too, at the time, Philadelphia didn't have a jail. And they fined Pennington 50 pounds for counterfeiting and basically let him go. I always wondered if he actually paid his 50-pound fine with counterfeit money. But I work with a guy whose great grandfather was the second guy that died on. Wow, that is some kind of cool. I wonder if he actually got the stuff from Oak Island. But anyway, gang, for you guys who are late comers, why, again, later on the stream, we've got that for the giveaway. That and the badge. The badge. But anyway, gang. Yeah, hey, yep, maybe you already got it. South Jersey Digger, what size mesh do you recommend to sift the ground with? I'm trying to remember. Small. It's chicken wire. What size is it? South Jersey Digger. Let me find you again. I lost you. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. I'm trying to remember. It's not chicken wire because chicken wire is actually too thin. You'll break it more than anything. Oh my goodness, this is horrible. I tell you what, South Jersey Digger, if you will send me an email under the, you'll find it on the other videos at the end. Why, I'll get that measurement to you. Stronger the better. You want strong stuff, and it's actually quite small. Yeah, it's not quite chicken wire though, because the chicken wire actually will break after time. I like durable stuff. For our area, it's very sandy, but even still, the grit, the smaller rocks will actually wear out that mesh and break it. That was actually back in my Indian digging days. Why that was a large trial and error. But you know what? I'll probably even make a mention of it in that video. That way you guys can have it. But yeah, that's going to be this upcoming Sunday. We'll be out in the field and do a little bit of digging, sifting. Well, I shouldn't say field because actually the spot's in the woods. But that's this upcoming Sunday, and it should be a good time because the stuff that comes out of the ground with the metal detector is really wonderful. And I don't want to say the time period only because at this point it's conjecture. It's only a guess, but I like the colonial coins that came out of the ground. We'll put it that way. And with the early colonial stuff, oh boy, you just can never tell the age of when you get down in there. But anyway, gang, M.A. Lyman, if you want to go ahead and post your link, guys, this is what we got going on. On a sadder note, if you guys haven't heard, Al, or AKA Oldies and Goodies, he unfortunately lost one of his treasures. His son Corey unfortunately had passed. And in the spirit of doing what we do, M.A. Lyman 24 has a special donation fundraiser. And basically, it's $5 for an entry for a chance at $70 of silver and copper. So anyway, gang, if you would check that out, why do please, like I say, you know, sometimes people think about treasure hunting, all they're interested is money and everything else. You know what? Sometimes it's also about the camaraderie. It's about looking out for your fellow detectorist or researcher, historian, and I think it's just great that M.A. Lyman has taken the time to say, "Hey, this is what's going on for one of us." And like I said, Al's lost one of his treasures. He's lost his son, so And it just kind of goes towards, you know, Al and whatnot. But anyway, gang. And M.A. Lyman also has a video on that. So, yeah, do, please give it a look. So, but yeah, sometimes, you know, I know it's hard to explain, but a lot of people will, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but I can't imagine that circumstance or losing one of your offspring. And so, again, you know, as a group, as a whole, as a community of diggers and metal detectors and coin collectors, it's just a small way to say, hey, you know what, Al, we're thinking about you, and it's just something that we can do. But anyway, guys, yeah, do please take a look at M.A. Lyman's link, and why it's well worth it. You guys will feel good about it. I promise you. It's a good thing to do. But anyway, gang. We got a couple more little things to go on. And actually, it's a chat question. And if you guys are ready for this chat question, I know some of you guys are superstitious. And I've met some guys who will say, hey, we carry specific things in our wallets while we metal detect for good luck or whatnot. And I hate to say it, I became one of those guys. I don't know why, but I do carry silver around with me in my wallet. And for whatever reason, it stuck with me. And I carry a barber quarter in my wallet. That's like my good luck piece for when I go out metal detecting or treasure hunting. I'm wondering if do you guys carry anything specific while you go metal detecting as a good luck charm, a talisman, or whatnot? Because for years I never done it. I just haven't really actually. I don't know. It seemed like a part of superstition. But the more diggers I've met, it seemed like it was more of a trend. And when there was ever a get together, why it seemed like they would share what they had on them for their talisman or their good luck charm. I even saw rabbit's feet. I thought that was weird, but maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. You know what? It doesn't hurt. You know. I even saw some guys have, you know, which whatever, but they wearing their necklaces. I hope they didn't drill the holes in the coins themselves. I hope they found them that way. But some guys were wearing reals, you know, with the hole through them. But maybe I should find something other than dog tags. What? What do you mean dog tags? You mean like a dog? No, no, you mean serviceman. Yes, I'm sorry. But I wear a seated dime around my neck. Okay, okay. You know, I actually, I'm sure the spirit guy. You know, I'm sure Nugget he does a lot of praying when he goes out too. But hey, you know what? It seems to work. I see a lot of coin necklaces. Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I would wear a coin necklace. I think that would be my biggest fear of losing it, whether the chain would break or anything like that. But you think a Morgan dollar would do it? Around your neck is a necklace? No, that sucker would be heavy. But those poor rabbits used to sell rabbit feet at school. But anyway, gang, I'm not a jewelry guy. You know, neither am I. You know what? One thing that has caught my attention years ago, I found oh my goodness, a Liberty half out of the bay. And any silver that comes out of the bay either comes out a dark green or black. And the only thing you could make out from it was Liberty, and of course the back. It just had this tarnish on it. I always wanted to send it to one of those ring guys, you know, that could turn the coin into a ring and have that as my good luck. You know, it's kind of sentimental. I found it and I still left the tarnishing on it. I've never cleaned it just because I like the way it looks. But yeah, I thought about getting one of those coin guys, or ring coin guys, you know, to turn it into a ring. But anyway, gang. Well, I think we are going to actually go ahead and do our giveaway, our viewer giveaway, as soon as I find my pad. I've lost my pad. It has disappeared. I will get my metal detector to find my... No, that won't work. Ah! We found a pad. And anyway, gang, for you folks that might have come in late, what you see at the top of your screen next to my head, over there. As soon as I get my hand out of the way, we're giving away tonight Garrett patch, along with a 1929 Buffalo nickel. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to, anybody watching, can you tell me how many viewers we currently have? $14. All right, gang, this is what we're going to do. We are going to pick a letter between A and N, and either somebody who either pegs it or closest to it. Holy cow! We started with numbers. 14, 14, 14, 14. Letters, people, letters. But we're not doing it yet. One guess per person, and I still have to pick one yet. A through N. One guess per person, and are you guys ready? A through N. Go ahead and pick a letter. And I think we can... The giant stole my letter. All right, gang. Everybody got in for a letter? Going once. Going twice. Letter gang was the letter I. So, gang, do we have a letter I? And if not, who was the closest? You know, MA, like when I first saw the A2M, I thought, why is he saying atom? A molecule, a thing? Geocaching truckers? Geocaching. I'm seeing geocaching. What? I was? Alright, gang, are we saying geocaching? Geocaching truckers? There we go. Alright, congrats to geocaching truckers. And, hey, if you send me an email with your, or actually send me a PM from, in YouTube, and, we'll get that out to you. Anyway, gang, congratulations again to Geo, and, yeah, we'll get that out to you. Anyway, gang, we are ready to get this dog off of here. And, uh-oh. I picked L, but I don't think I was closest. It was lowercase. Uh-oh. Well, that's an honest guy right there. Geocaching. You are the man. It is honesty, which is wonderful, especially in this day and age. You have so many people. You know what, Rivendell? That there is an idea. Geocaching. You know what? Do please still send me a PM. I'll send something out to you as well. There was a J and an H. Well, I think an H would have to get it. But yeah, geocaching, do still send me a PM. I'll send you something. I don't know what off the top of my head. You know what? Guess what? You know what? I got two of these suckers. How about if I send you a patch, and off the top of my head, I don't know what the other thing will be, but I'll figure out something. So, Geo, still send me a PM. But somebody else had an H. Who had the H? Lenny and Rivendell had an H. Who had the H first? Lenny? No. No, I'm sorry. It's Lenny No. On my chat, I see Lenny No with the first H. Do you guys see anything different? I did. Send it to... You guys are the best. I tell you. You guys are the best. You sure, Lenny? Alright, gang. Well, you guys, like I say, are the best. You know, some people in our community, you guys just kind of I don't know, reinstill the sense of humanity, you know, because sometimes some people in our field get such a bad rep, but and sort of like those people who don't fill in their holes, you know. But no, not you guys. You guys are wonderful. So yeah, Geo, you know what? Yeah, go ahead and send me the PM. I'll get it out to you. And that's appreciated. You know, you guys are great. But anyway, gang, just to recap, stay tuned for this episode this weekend. Be sure and check out MA Lyman 24. He's got some videos out there, and the video for the donation for Al. Be sure and check that out. And Revendell, you know I've been watching your videos that you got posted. They are wonderful. I like they're great. The especially the early mint one was neat. I like that. But a lot of big holes in South Jersey. You talking about the streets, South Jersey digger? But yeah. Oh my goodness! I tell you what, this past winter it seems like there's not a solid street in the state. But all right, gang, we are going to get off there. Hey, thank you guys for being great. We'll probably be back on here next Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Same bat time, same bat channel. And again, there'll be more metal detecting stuff, be more announcements, and then another treasure story. You know, it's all stuff that we can go out there and try to look for, you know, have some fun. But anyway, gang, good night, and go out and find your treasure.